Today we'll be going through Math Point 1, problem solving strategies for SAT and ACT. So since it's multiple choice based, the strategies that help you make educated guesses. So let's just dive right in. Strategy 1 would be plug answers into questions. Pretty straightforward, right? You have 4 options, so you plug them in to see if they're right. The example here, 2x is 10 over 16. Ask you what the x is. So I'm just gonna do option A and the right answer just to make a point here. And if you have any other questions, feel free to approach me or the TA. So option A is 1, which is wrong, and let's see why it is. 1 plus, if we substitute x for 1, then what we're getting is 1 plus 1 over 2 times 1, which is 2. Which is 2 over 2, right? 2 over 2, which is not what we want. So this is wrong. And I'm just gonna skip B because it's pretty much the same idea. And let's do C, 4. And it would be 4 plus 1 over 2 times 4. Okay. Although it's not our answer yet, in fractions, you can do this. This is totally legal. And this will yield the answer of 10 over 16, which is our answer. So, yeah, the answer to this one would be C, 4. And just gonna give you some more time to write this down. Plug answers into questions. It's not super complicated. Feel free to pause the video if you want. And I'm gonna move on to strategy number 2. Strategy number 2 is a little bit more complicated here. But still, it's pretty easy. Plug in small numbers. What are small numbers? The basic ones, 0, 1, etc. Plug in 0 or 1 to the unknown numbers. Alright, plug in small numbers such as 0 or 1 to the unknown numbers. And please write this down. Feel free to pause the video if you need to. And I'm just gonna move on to the example now. Okay, this one's a little bit more complicated. It says m is this, and it asks us how to express this in terms of m. Okay, I'm gonna give you some more time to write this down, the strategy, and then I'm gonna erase it because I need more board space to do this one. Plug in small numbers such as 0 or 1 to the unknown numbers. And if you have the time, do think about the example because I find this a little bit more complicated than the examples we did. Okay. Now I'm gonna go right in. So let's say, all right, so we do have a lot of unknown numbers here. So let's say I want to make n 1 because that would make things a lot easier, right? Let's assume n equals 1. And in this case, m would be this. Oh, sorry, I was wrong. Yeah, it's not 2n, it's 2 to the power of n. So sorry, that's my bad. And this would be 10. M would be 10, right? If n is 1, then m, based on our math here, would be 10. So we're literally just plugging in 1 for n, which shouldn't be super hard. And this, in terms of number, would be 16. Okay, now I'm gonna erase this. Plug in small numbers like 0 or 1. Right, and in light of the application of that strategy, let's see what we have here. If m is 10 and this is 16, how do we properly express 16 in terms of 10? All right, I'm gonna erase this. This is just the question, and this is what we have. If n equals 1, then m is 10, and that term we want to express would be 16. Right. So how do we properly find out the expression for this? Well, again, we can apply strategy 1. Just literally plug in every options we have to see which makes sense. So A would be m. M is 10 and this is 16. So obviously this is not what we want. And for B, 2m over 5. So 2m would be, this would be 2 times 10 over 5, which would be 4. And that is not 16, because we want 16. C, 8m divided by 5. And this would be 8 times 10 divided by 5. That would be 16. Hooray! That would be our answer, 16. So the answer here would be C, 8m over 5. Should be pretty basic. And if you have any questions, feel free to approach me or your TA when we meet in person. And for now, I'm going to give you some time to do practice 1 and 3. 1 and 3. Practice 1 and 3. Alright, I'm going to give you roughly 2 minutes to do them, and I'll come back with an explanation. Alright, that is roughly 2 minutes. If you need more time, feel free to pause the video. But I'm gonna go right into the explanation now. So, practice number 1. It gives us this inequality of and it asks us what are the solutions, right? So apparently this inequality has no solution. When we go into inequality, we're going to go through how to properly find out the solutions or lack thereof in this case. But just for the sake of example, we're going to pretend that we don't know how to do it, and let's see how to solve it. A says all real numbers. So you can literally just think of one real number, let's say 1. So let's say C equals 1, right? And you're gonna find out 4 plus 5 and this is 9, and 4 plus 3 is 7. So apparently 9 is not smaller than 7. So our real number is wrong. So this is wrong, right? And let's go through B. It says as long as C is smaller than 1/2. Then let's make C 0 then, right? And then you have 5 smaller than 3, which also doesn't make sense. So B is wrong. All right, and you get the same idea, but I'm just gonna go through them anyways. So A and B are both wrong, and C is smaller than 1/4. Let's see if this makes sense. Or any number that's smaller than 1/4. Let's just make it 0 again. C equals 0, then you have 5 smaller than 3 again, which doesn't make sense at all. So this is also wrong. Which leaves us with D, no solution. And that would be the right answer. This inequality has no solution. This inequality has no solution. And even if you don't know how to properly solve inequality, just by plugging in numbers from A, B, and C, you should know that D is our only option left. So if you need more time to think through it, feel free to pause the video. But for time's sake, I'm gonna move on to question number 3. And I hope you're following. If not, then feel free to approach me in person or just pause the video to think about it and see what I did. Okay, 3 is a little bit more complicated. 3 has a chart. So I'm just gonna try to replicate the chart here. This is x and h of x. And each column has 2 values respectively. Right. This is a chart for function and its value. So, alright, so it asks what's h of x, right? So, there can be multiple solutions, so the only and the proper way to solve it would be to see what the functions are and plug them in. So A says h of x equals 0.5 minus 1. And that just gives us negative 0.5 all the time. And it just doesn't make sense because we're getting values like 8, like 12 here. So apparently A can't be the answer because we're getting more than one value. And let's take a look at B. H of x equals 2x plus 2. Does that make sense? So let's take a look. Let's say when x is 3, h of x, according to this, would be 8. Oh, alright, this passed our first test. And when x is 5, h of x would be 5 times 2 is 10, 10 plus 12, 2 is 12. Oh, alright. It passes both of our tests, so B is the correct answer. B is the correct answer. So the answer to number 3 is B, but just for the sake of example, I'm gonna do option C just to prove why that's wrong. And D is pretty much in the same spirit of it. So C states that h of x is 5x plus 12. Let's see if that makes sense. When x is 3, according to this, h of x should be 3 times should be 27, which is apparently wrong because it's not 8, right? So based on that alone, we can know that C cannot be the answer. So in conclusion, plugging numbers can be really helpful if you don't know how to properly solve it, and even sometimes that's literally the proper way and the only way to solve something. And do keep these strategies in mind. They help you make better and educated choice.